Hello, folks. Welcome to college football week 3 predictions. Yeah, it's the same day by the time NFL week 2 predictions comes out on YouTube. So, yes, let's get to college football week 3 picks. On Thursday, on 9/11 day, we have NC State taking on Wake Forest at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. NC State is a 7.5 point favorites. Uh, this should be a fun game, by the way. Both teams are coming off on a 2 game winning streaks. One of them is going to have to go down with their first loss of the season. So give me NC State. I believe CJ Bailey is their starting quarterback, and he is performing very great for the Wolfpack. So Wolfpack winning it 27-24. Then on Friday, Colorado taking on Houston at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Houston is a 3.5 point favorite. Colorado coming off a win against Delaware. The main story is now their third stringer quarterback is now their starting quarterback. What are we just witnessed? We've gone from Caden Selders, then last week Juju Lewis, and now we're going with his third string quarterback. Is there a QB issue right there in Colorado? I don't know. They're going to take on Houston, who are starting the Connor Wagman era with a 2-0 start. I think Houston pulls off the upset and is played in Houston. I think it's going to be a great primetime game for Houston. Give me the Cougars winning it 30-27. Kansas State taking on Arizona at 9 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Kansas State is a 1.5 favorites. Arizona starting off 2-0. What a great way to start your year. They're going to take on Kansas State, who their season's rocking right now, losing 2 games, and their only win was against North Dakota. So their last loss was against Army. So they got to respond against Arizona, who are 2-0 this season. Give me Kansas State upsetting Arizona 24-20. New Mexico taking on UCLA at 10 p.m. Eastern on Big Ten Network. UCLA is a 14.5 point favorite. The Bruins will look to get their first win in the Nico Yabale era against the Lobos, who got themselves their first win of the season. Congrats to the Lobos. Give me UCLA. They'll win it by 20. Then we go on Saturday, 4th-ranked Oregon taking on Northwestern at 12 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Oregon is a 27.5 point favorite. The Ducks are now debuting Dante Moore in the Big Ten. This big news Saturday. It is Oregon's first Big Ten test against Northwestern, who are coming off their first win of the season, of course. So congrats to them. Of course, 2 weeks ago, they just lost to Tulane. Northwestern gets it back on track. But give me Oregon. They're way too good this year. Give me the Ducks by 35. 12th-ranked Clemson taking on Georgia Tech at 12 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Clemson is a 6.5 point favorite. We thought this could be maybe 2-0 versus 2-0 teams, but turns out Clemson just lose to LSU, and they're coming off a game against Troy that they should have dominated on both sides. Instead, Troy got them. They got them. They're going to take on Georgia Tech, who are coming off a tough and vicious win for the Yellow Jackets. Georgia Tech loves to spoil. So, not going to happen this week. Give me the Clemson Tigers over Georgia Tech. Clemson wins it by 8. Wisconsin taking on 19th-ranked Alabama at 12 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Alabama is a 19.5 point favorite. The Badgers are starting off 2-0 record, while for Bama, they're 1-1 record, and they finally got their first win of the season after beating ULM last week. Give me Alabama. This is a must-win for them because then by the time this game is over, they focus on next week against Georgia in Athens. So Bama needs this the most, so give me Alabama by 20. Memphis taking on Troy at 12 p.m. Eastern on ESPNU. Memphis is a 6.5 point favorites. Memphis going on 2-0 record this year, but they're trying to keep up with South Florida and Tulane. Meanwhile, for Troy, on the other hand, they were so close to going 2-0 if they did beat Clemson last week. Not going to happen this week. Could be close, but give me Memphis by 8. All right, this is the game of the week. 6th ranked Georgia taking on 15th ranked Tennessee at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Georgia is a 6.5 point favorite. This is a great way to start week 3 of this year. 3:30 p.m. Eastern game in Knoxville. Georgia will look to go 3-0 this year, but they're playing a Tennessee team that they feel like their quarterback is ready for the biggest moments. And this is Tennessee's first SEC opponent. Of course, for Georgia, on the other hand, they got to get ready for this game, then Alabama, and then there's more to come. Of course, they got to play Texas. This should be a good game. The question is, can Tennessee's O-line protect Joey Aguilar against this Georgia front line on that defense? I don't think so. I think Georgia wins it. Bulldogs win it 28-20. Let's see. Washington State taking on North Texas at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPNU. North Texas is a 5.5 point favorite. Both teams undefeated will look to get their 3rd win of the season. Washington State looked very impressive last week, and they're taking on the Mean Green, who will look to go 3-0 and try to catch up with Memphis and South Florida. So give me the Mean Green by 2. Pittsburgh taking on West Virginia at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Pittsburgh is a 5.5 point favorite. West Virginia coming off a tough loss against Ohio. Meanwhile, for Pittsburgh, they're seeing Clemson falling. They're seeing Miami rising up, Florida State rising up. But Pittsburgh's trying to get that ACC title, hopefully, to Charlotte. Should be a fun one. This is a rivalry game, of course, the backyard rivalry. Last year, Pittsburgh won against them in a great, thrilling game, but being played in West Virginia, I wanted to pick West Virginia, but I think the Pitt Panthers pull off the upset. Give me the Pitt Panthers winning it by 8. 18th ranked South Florida. You deserve to be ranked. But here's where this thing goes crazy. Against the 5th ranked Miami Hurricanes at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on the CW network. Miami's a 15.5 point favorites. South Florida is 2-0, and they got to go on the road against Miami, who are ranked number 5. And this is a huge game for the Bulls. Can they go 3-0 against ranked teams this year? Nope. Miami's way too good with Carson back at quarterback. So Miami wins it by 10. Arkansas taking on 17th ranked Ole Miss at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Ole Miss is a 8.5 point favorites. The Rebels are coming off a great result win against Kentucky. Arkansas are trying to get their groove and hope to go 3-0. Give me Ole Miss. Rebels are too good for the Razorbacks. So Ole Miss by 10. App State taking on Southern Miss at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Southern Miss is a 2.5 point favorites. And of course, they're still processing with a new head coach and some players who got transferred from Marshall to this Southern Miss. They're going to take on App State, who are starting off very well, 2-0 without Joey Aguilar. What a start. Give me App State. Either they win it by 1 point. Florida taking on 3rd-ranked LSU at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC. LSU is an 8.5 point favorite. The Tigers look very good so far this year. They welcome the Gators, who are coming off a Billy Napers game that they lost to South Florida, and then fans are chanting, "Fire Billy Napers." But this game is very a must-win for the Gators. Of course, they got to play them. They got to play Texas, Georgia, Mississippi State. By the way, some of those teams in the rankings. So this is a huge start for the Gators in their SEC conference. But give me LSU. They're too good. Tigers win it by 10. 16th ranked Texas A&M taking on 8th ranked Notre Dame at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Notre Dame is a 9.5-point favorite. The Fighting Irish coming off a bye week, but their last game lost to Miami, heartbreaker. They're going to take on Texas A&M, who they should know this opponent really well. Last year they lost in their home against the Fighting Irish. Can they spoil? The answer is no. Give me Texas A&M. No, give me Notre Dame, by the way. Sorry, not so fast, my friend. Notre Dame wins it by 10. Meanwhile, we have Vanderbilt taking on 11th ranked South Carolina at 7:45 p.m. Eastern on SEC Network. South Carolina is a 5.5-point favorites. Both of these teams, we're going to go 3-0 this year. For Vanderbilt, they're coming off a great win against Virginia Tech on the road. South Carolina are looking to build their momentum under Lenore Sellers at quarterback. Give me South Carolina by 10. Duke taking on Tulane at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Tulane is a 2.5-point favorite. This is Duke's quarterback facing his former team who played with Duke and transferred to Duke. Or the Duke quarterback played with Tulane and then got transferred from Tulane to Duke. But Jake Ripslack is having a great start this year. This should be a fun game. Give me Duke. Give me the Blue Devils upsetting Tulane. They win it by 5. Minnesota taking on Cal at 10:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Minnesota is a 2.5-point favorites. The Gophers look to start 3-0, but for the Golden Bears, on the other hand, they're also trying to go 3-0, and they're starting off 2-0 without Fernando Mendoza, who's now in Indiana. It should be a fun game, but give me Minnesota. I got the Golden Gophers beating Cal. Boston College taking on Stanford at 10:30 p.m. Eastern on ACC Network. Boston College is an 11.5-point favorite. The Cardinals of Stanford are still looking for their first win in the Frank Wright era plus Andrew Luck GM era. They're going to take on the Boston College Eagles, who are coming off a tough rivalry loss to Michigan State last week. Give me Boston College by 9. And finally, Texas State taking on Arizona State on 10:30 p.m. Eastern on TNT and HBO Max. Arizona State is a 14.5-point favorite. Texas State Bobcats are looking to upset Arizona State, who are coming off a tough loss on the road against Mississippi State. Will the Sun Devils go 1-2? Nope. Must-win game for the Sun Devils. They win it by 14. And that's it for my college football week 2 predictions. Hello there. If you have not seen my other videos, go check them out on my channel. Of course, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell for more sports news.